Well, hello. Good morning, everybody. It is time for our day 2 of our nursing school mindset edit. Super excited to be here today talking about negative self-talk, which is honestly one of the biggest ways that students in nursing school and even pre-nursing really kind of self-sabotage their success. So we're going to talk about that today. If you are watching from Facebook, can you give me a thumbs up so that I can confirm that you can hear me? Because about half the time I forget to turn on my microphone. And then there's a little link at the top that says give eCam permission to know my name or something like that. If you click that, when you make a comment, I'll see your name. If you don't want to click that, that's fine. When you write in a comment, just add your name to it if you want me to know who it's coming from, okay? So I will wait just a moment to get some confirmation that you guys can hear me. Somebody will hit that thumbs up button in just a second and we will get rolling. While I wait for that, I'm gonna have a cup of coffee, or a sip of coffee rather. Okay, all right, we got a thumbs up. Okay, good morning. Hello to you. And thank you for doing that. Okay, so we're talking about negative self-talk today, and I see this a lot, especially with students even before they're starting nursing school. They've already got some preconceived notions about their ability to survive or do well in the program. And a lot of it's because of all the negative stuff that we see out there all the time, right? So I'm going to talk about that. Things that I hear students saying are things like, I'm struggling, I can't do this, I'll never, ever see my kids while I'm in school. Nursing school is too hard for me. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. Like all these things. You've heard all of those statements, I am sure. And one of the things that I dealt with when I was heading into nursing school and even through my prereqs and all of that was that I grew up totally believing I was not a numbers person, that I was terrible at math, and that was going to be the thing that kept me from achieving my goals. Like I had this total negative self-talk cycle about how I am bad at math, and this is why I'm going to either not pass chemistry or not get into nursing school or not pass nursing school, was because of that limiting belief. So a few years ago, I read a really great book, by the way. I know, well, you might have a little bit of time over the summer, but if this is something that you really struggle with, I don't remember the author name, but there's a great book called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And it's by Dr. Samuel something. I feel like the name has an S in it, but if you look up that book, you'll find it. And it's an excellent book. And in this book, the premise is that if you change how you talk to yourself, you can change your brain and actually change the trajectory of your entire life, your entire pathway. So basically the whole premise is neuroplasticity, okay? So neuroplasticity in the brain, things that you say over and over again to yourself, out loud to your family, out loud to your friends, you're forming these neural pathways throughout your brain, right? And your brain is great, but it's looking for efficiency all the time, right? It wants to get things done in the most efficient manner. So the most efficient way to do something is to follow the pathway, right? When I'm out hiking, I stay on the trail because that's more efficient than going off through the woods and climbing over things and getting, caught up in the bushes, right? So I'm going to follow pathways. Your brain does the exact same thing. Now, the good news is you can make a new pathway. Like if you're out walking in the woods, every now and then, don't you see like a little trail off to the side where you think, oh, I bet that's what the trail the deer take to get down to the water or whatever. They've made that pathway. So your brain can do the very same thing. So, and that's because of neuroplasticity. So when you talk to yourself, you start developing pathways, good or bad, right? So if you say things like, I'm bad at math, like I did for so many years, and now I teach math to nursing students, so look at that shift, right? But if you say, I'm bad at math, you're gonna make a pathway that follows a life trajectory where you're bad at math, you don't practice math, and we're gonna talk a lot more about math anxiety, I think tomorrow. We're gonna talk about that more tomorrow. But what I'm saying here is that you've created a pathway. So your brain's going to look for situations, it's going to look for obstacles, anything that aligns with that pathway that you have developed. And guess what? You're going to be bad at math. You're not going to do well on your math exams, and it is going to be an obstacle for you. Your brain, amazing as it is, wants to believe what you tell it to believe. Okay. And it wants to notice what you tell it to notice. So a really interesting thing, have you ever been like, maybe you're in the market for a new car or something, and you really want like a convertible, let's say. And now all of a sudden, everywhere you look, you see convertibles, right? Or you're thinking about, maybe you're at that stage in your life where you're thinking about starting a family. And now everywhere you look, you see pregnant women or parents with their little babies. Like your brain picks up and notices the things that you tell it to notice. And then it's going to take that path of least resistance. So if you're always telling your brain, I'm bad at this thing, it's going to look for situations that support that belief because it's following that pathway that you made. So we're going to switch that up. So if you are somewhere where you can grab a slip of paper and a pencil, do that now, because we're going to practice a little reframing exercise. Okay, so take just a moment, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, or you can jot a note down on your computer, but I like it better if you can write it down because we're going to do something with this paper. So as I drink my coffee, I think of another example. You know, if you ever like go to pour something out of the coffee pot, and if you don't do it just right, a little bit of liquid comes over the lip and then runs down the side of the coffee pot. And then no matter what you do, you're just making a big mess, you know, all over the counter. That's because you created a little pathway with that first little drip of fluid. So what you have to do, take that, wipe that off, and then pour again. And now you're pouring into the cup, right? So that's what we're going to do with this little exercise. So instead of saying, I'm bad at whatever, we're going to say something else. So I want you to write down one negative thing that you say to yourself on a regular basis, one negative self-belief, okay? And I want you to write that down. Take a minute, write that down. And while you're doing that, I'll tell you just a little, here's a example of how this would work. So I had a student once who was, I believe she was in my boot camp, and she was very worried about surviving and thriving in nursing school because she didn't do so well in anatomy and physiology. She got through it, but she didn't do so great. And her negative self-talk, her negative limiting belief was, I'm bad at A and P. That's what she said. And I told her, okay, listen, honey, no one's bad at A and P, okay? A and P is just a complex topic. You're not bad at it, and you're not a failure, not a bad person because you struggled in this class. There's a reason people struggle with A and P. It's really, really hard, right? So we worked on reframing that. So if you were going to work on reframing a statement like that, because that would be very limiting belief. That's a foundation concept that you use for everything in nursing school, right? And if you believed that about yourself, you'd probably believe, I'm bad at all of nursing school, right? So you have to reframe. And so the suggestion was reframe that to a true statement. So you can't just say the opposite thing. So whatever you wrote on your paper, if you wrote, I can't focus when I study, okay, that's a negative statement, right? And that's going to limit you. If you wrote, I'm bad at math, if you wrote, I don't understand anatomy and physiology, whatever that is, we're going to reframe it, we're going to flip it, but you can't just write, I can focus for hours at a time, because that might not be actually true, right? You have to reframe it in a way that it's a true statement that you can believe, but that's a more positive, empowering statement. So instead of saying, I'm bad at A and P, maybe a reframed statement is, A and P is complicated, and that's why I'm reviewing before classes start, and I'm learning more every day. Like that can be a true statement. Your brain can believe that. Your brain can make a pathway that follows you down that path. So take that moment, reframe whatever your statement was into something true, but also more empowering and positive and uplifting to yourself and empowering to yourself, right? So does everybody have their statement? Give me a thumbs up when you have your statement, for those of you that are watching live. And then we're going to do a little bit of something. But first, I'm going to tell you a little quick story. I had a student. Her name was Amber, and she was really, really afraid of math. And we'll talk about this more tomorrow when we talk about math anxiety. But Amber had really severe math anxiety. And she was really, really worried that this was going to prevent her from achieving her goals. And she was also in my boot camp. And I had a live session where I talked about negative self-talk and how it sabotages your success. So what we did, and we worked on this together, is we worked on making her a positive reframed statement. So she took the statement, I'm bad at math, and turned that into, let me see, I wrote it down here, turned that into, my brain is open to learning how to do math. My brain knows this is hard, but I'm practicing and getting better every day. So you see what she did there? She didn't just say, I'm great at math, because her brain, her body, her whole spirit, her whole soul would not have believed that statement. It's not true at that time. So she made a true statement that she could believe that empowered her. And then she came back about midway through the semester, emailed me and told me that because of that reframe, she was able to study for her dosage calculations exams, not just pass them, crush them, and told me she was now thriving in nursing school from one simple reframing. So I want you to take your first statement, your negative self-statement that you wrote down, and I want you to tear that up, okay? Someone's asking, what was the name of the book that you mentioned? It was called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the author, but if you look, and it's an older book, I want to say maybe it was written in the 70s or the 80s, maybe. Dr. something. I think it starts with an S, okay? All right, so take that first statement, tear it up, it's done, get rid of it, and then take your reframed statement, and I want you to put it somewhere where you will see this multiple times a day. Put it on your computer screen. Put it on the bathroom mirror. Put it somewhere where you will see this absolutely every day, and repeat it to yourself when you see it, and feel it in your body when you're saying it, so that you can start really owning this reframed statement. And you will see that over time, you stop following that other pathway. You're like the deer on the trail, making a new path that is going down to the water. Okay, so that is my brief little talk with you guys about negative self-talk and how it can definitely sabotage your success, but an easy, super easy, but super effective thing that you can do to turn things around. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about this or any general questions about nursing school? I'll wait just a moment. Have a coffee sip. You're very welcome. VA Squad was saying thank you. And right now, if you are, is anybody from my boot camp on? I'm just curious. My boot camp is on sale right now. And if you're not sure what that is, then it is a nursing school prep course that teaches strategies, tips, success type things, getting organized, key foundation concepts, A&P review, dosage calculations. I teach all kinds of things in this boot camp to get you ready for nursing school. So if you're interested in that, I will put a link below this video, and you can just go to my website, straightanursingstudent.com, and you can just click on courses in the top menu bar and you can go straight to it, okay? So it doesn't look like there are any questions, so I will close this out. If you do suffer from math anxiety, we're gonna tackle that tomorrow. And it's definitely something, I will say, definitely something that you can conquer and get past. I had it and now I teach math, okay? So definitely something that you can get through. So I will see you back here tomorrow for that, okay? All right, and if you want to see the whole schedule for this series of live videos, go to straightanursingstudent.com/mindset and you will see it there, okay? All right, have a great day, everyone. Bye.